for. Straight to the dance floor, no passport. Take you on tour, let's transport. Straight to the course, I can't wait to see how you move. Sound waves, but I'm still in tune. Head rest, but I keep my cool. But we still getting hotter than a stove top. When the bass go boom, make your head rock. Married to the rhythm, it's a wedlock. Now we got the whole party in a headlock.
You see the sparks are flying. Let's get this thing ignited. This heat gon' start a fire. This heat gon' start a fire.
We gon' light it up. 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 We gon' light it up.
You ain't never seen nobody do it like me. Looking like a million, better give me my feet. Know I make it hot, but I'm still icy. Neck on froze, looking like an icy. They know what it is by the way that I talk. All eyes on me by the way that I walk. My feet don't move if the beat don't knock. I'ma go to work, I don't need no clock. I move my body to the left and the right. We get real loose, but the dress fits tight. Whole party going up, we about to take flight. It's about to be a show, better hit the lights.
You see the sparks are flying. Let's get this thing ignited. This heat gon' start a fire. This heat gon' start a fire.
We gon' light it up. 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 We gon' light it up.
We gon' light it up. We gon' light it up.
Hello, welcome back to a what is this? What could we call this? I don't know, a moan fest. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what that was on Saturday. Were you there? Let me know if you were there. Can't see any comments as usual, so I'm not sure if that's actually working. Let's see. Should be there. So anyway, pop a comment in the comments if you can hear me, if you can see me, if everything sounds all right, and let's get your comments in and let me read them out and let me find out what you're all sort of thinking. This mouse is just a bit right. Okay, there we go. Back there. So again, I can't see any chat for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, there we are. Yeah, there we are. Oh, that's odd. Right, okay, so Semi-Charm Life, I don't know why I'm not getting them in my little box here, which is unusual. Docs, I should be able to see them on screen. But just here for the Moan Fest, good. YouTube Live Control Panel. Nope, that's not there, that's not there. I don't seem to have the chat. Should be there. Well, I can see these little. This is very. Honestly, sometimes. Maybe. Right, just give me a moment while I try and figure this out. There should be chat now. Activate. Honestly, the mysteries of OBS, it's beyond me at times. I don't know. I can see the comments and get them up like that so I can see them, but why can I not see them in my browser? I don't know. Anyway, I'll just have to try and read them. Gary Cronshaw. Hi, Gary Cronshaw and Helena Jones. Good evening. So, were you there? Are you as disappointed as I am? You know, really disappointed. I can light them up slightly. I don't know what to say at the end of the video, to be honest. It was just so disappointing. You know, as I said on the video, we started off, you know, I set out with hope. I thought after Cardiff, I thought flipping out, we're playing Reading. You know, they're down the bottom, we're at the bottom. You know, we just beat Cardiff at home. I knew it was on Sky, and it was just 12:30 kickoff, and that is, it's never a good thing for us to be on Sky for some reason. We just can't seem to win on Sky anymore. So that was a worry, but I really did think we could win, and I wasn't expecting that. We started off well. We had quite a few chances that fell to defenders. Obviously, it was good to see them getting in those positions like Coulson and Andy Lyons. But when they had the chance, they blew it. Which maybe if that had fallen to a striker, our one striker Fletcher, we may have scored, gone one up, and that'd have been a different story. But we didn't, and so many times I go to these games and we see the same thing, don't we? Blackpool, start off strongly, they can't score, they miss chances, and then the other team just have a chance and just one chance and they just score straight away. And it happens so many times that it's unbelievable that we can keep making that same mistake all the time. That just the first thing, really, the first chance they scored with, it was terrible. Yes, what my TV says behind me, indeed. It's all going a bit Pete Tong, isn't it, at Bloomfield Road? It is, and I read lots of things on the forums about, this player's not good enough, and that player's not good enough, and this player can't do it, and this player will never be any good. And I kind of hark back to when, my youngest started off at United Academy, did a year there. And he was a brilliant player. He was a really brilliant player as a young kid. He was amazing. At 8 years old, he was unbelievable. But he was in this United Academy, and they had like some other amazing kids. And they're only ever going to take one on from the academy here at Blackpool up to United, and he didn't get selected as the one. And there was lots of disappointed kids, and there was lots of really good kids. Then he ended up at Blackpool Academy, and he ended up joining late in the sort of the season. It was almost getting to like November time when he joined. I went with him. We went to an away match, playing at Morecambe. We won about 26-0. Sebi scored 7 goals. There was one goal where it kind of came over his shoulder, long ball over his shoulder. He just trapped it with one foot, turned it one way and put it past the keeper. All in like one motion. And at that time, I thought, God, do I lump on him to be like the next, play for England when he's like 20, like Wayne Rooney's dad did. But he didn't make it at Blackpool, and he then he had some time at Burnley Academy. He didn't like Burnley Academy. We took him to Liverpool Academy, but there's all these kids, and to make it as a professional footballer, to make it, to be good enough, probably even to play in League Two at professional level, you have to be exceptional. You have to be amazing. You can't become a professional footballer unless, one, you're really, really good, you really, really stand out, you are probably like the best kid at school, and you get taken on, and then, you play in the Football League, and you've been playing for all these different clubs, and you have to be a good player. There's no way you're going to be a Football League footballer unless you're a good player. And Blackpool sign you, and then we're all saying that he's useless. The guy's rubbish. And, it happens. It's the same as you go up the pyramid. If you go into the Championship and then into the Premier League, the players from England that play in the Premier League have got to be like, they will be like super gods at football. And yet they can't get in teams in the Premier League because there's all these, foreign players better than them. We then get the pick of those Premier League footballers, and they end up as playing for England, the very, very top of the very, very top of a very, 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 very deep, long tree that runs all the way through from kids football. These players that play for England, and then sometimes you watch them play for England and you think, they got to even pass a ball. You know what I mean? I've seen it. So what is it? It can't be the players. They cannot be that bad. They cannot be as bad as they are. They cannot be as spineless as they are. They cannot be as weak-minded as they are. They cannot cope with, a goal and that's it. We're destroyed. And that's how it looked on Saturday. And I can't believe that these players are that bad. So what is the problem at Blackpool? Because it just doesn't make any sense. We know the good players. We do know. Finley McCann, I'm struggling. Maybe I'll get my phone up to read it because it's too small on the screen to read the comments, and I don't seem to have for some reason I've lost the chat bar on my mouse. It's like Calamity Capers here, and it's like the Keystone Cops. Why do I do this? Right, okay, so I can read that. So Finley McCalman says, terrible performance, passing was awful, and the team made so many mistakes all over the pitch. I think we'd be fortunate to avoid relegation, hoping Ennis and Dale score many goals when they come back. Well, we kind of all know, don't we, that, we are going to get better when, we all know we've got some good players to come back. You think if Josh Bowler had been in yesterday, and if Alvin Morgan had been in yesterday, and if Danny Imre had been back as a right back, and like you say, if Ennis had been on the pitch, I'm sure we would be a better team. But I still think the players should have been good enough yesterday to beat Reading at home. Reading were just a couple of places above us, 3 points above us. It wasn't a top of the league team. We'd just beaten a top of the league team, and expectations were high. You saw my video. People were, could only see a Blackpool win. And it just wasn't to be. That the atmosphere was flat in the stadium. It never really reached any sort of levels of high, and it just went from bad to worse as the game went on, didn't it? Gary Cronshaw says tomorrow night Blackburn Rovers versus Ipswich Town is off. Oh dear, that's a shame. Eugene McGee says Harrogate are playing Blackpool tomorrow night in the English Football Trophy second round. Yeah, and what sort of team will Everett put out for that? Is he going to go with put them all back out as a punishment, or is he going to go with kids? I mean, I was saying in the comments, we could have just started with kids. I'm not sure if I like the comments on that side. It's very odd that this mouse is just not being there, so I can't put them that side. I don't know. Do you prefer the comments on this side or that side, which is easier for you to read? John Harrison says, I have a season ticket and I walked 10 minutes before full time. Oh my gosh. Was the worst performance you've seen. Yeah, it was just, at the end of the game, I honestly did not know what to say about it, because there was just hardly any positives really, to say apart from the first 20 minutes of the game. We had a bit of a spell, didn't we, after half time where we had a couple of chances and they were close, but it's always just close, isn't it? It's like you sat there and I'm watching it with Bestie. Pickle was away and I'm watching it, and I just feel like I so often feel when I'm watching Blackpool that I don't feel like, even when we're going forward and even when we get into the box, that we're going to score. I'm not confident we're going to score. I don't feel the goals coming, and that's how it felt all the time. And yet whenever they were coming, you're thinking, that winger was just tearing us apart down that left wing, and you're thinking, they're going to score. The penalty was just disappointing, wasn't it? But again, pace did us, pace. Whether Ian Everett, I've read that, he must have seen that winger had the beating of Ihekwe, as we say. Is it Ihekwe? I never know how you say it, but he had the beating of him, and sure enough, he beat him, and it was just a terrible tackle. It was a penalty all day long. We don't get, there was possibly 2 penalty appeals. Both probably weren't, but other clubs get them when they're not. A kind referee could have seen it as a penalty. From a distance, it might look like a penalty. But we didn't get them, he didn't give, he turned 2 down, didn't he? And 2 that the fans were screaming for. I thought Bloxham's I thought the keeper got there first. I thought Bloxham went over him. And I'll have to say, I've not even seen it because I can't be bothered actually watching the game again. What's the point of watching the highlights? But did the keeper get to it first? I mean, he took Lyons completely out as he was going for the punch. But, it's one of them things. But you just sometimes think, God, just give us a bit of luck sometime. Sammy Chandler says it's an odd one, that one. Never ever heard of Harrogate Town myself. Well, you never will have done, will you? Premier League. Play teams like Harrogate Town. But yeah, they've got it's a non-league team. We've drawn them in, the Silly Cup. When the chance was to go forwards, we went backwards. We don't take enough risks or notice players that are open, says John Harrison. No, and I think Ian Everett was pulling his hair out over it, wasn't he? Hey Lee, a Reading fan here. That Blackpool team performance was horrid. From an outside perspective, the players were not good enough in the slightest. All the best for the rest of the season. Well, there you go. Even Reading think we were terrible, and we were terrible, really shockingly bad. And that's the thing. People now are saying to me, Blackpool too good to go down. They won't go down. They're a good side. Trust me. You can easily go down, because the longer you don't win, the longer you're stuck down in that bottom four, the more difficult it is to get out of it as the season goes on, and the confidence goes, and the playing goes. And I've read people saying, we've got to spend money in January, but the trouble with trying to spend money in January is who wants to come to a team that's in the bottom four. If we're down there, nobody wants to come. Everybody's happy to go on loan to a team, going for promotion, maybe a possible Wembley appearance, but you don't want to be in a dogfight, a team that's losing. What goes that for your career? It's not good at all. Harrogate Town are second bottom in League. Harrogate second from bottom in League 2, so they are. So, they are a team. They're very low down. Surely we should be able to beat them. Two things we could have done better on the football match. And you and your friend did ball kids with me. I was one of the kids. And do you know when Alice maybe come out? Two things we could have done better on the football match. And you and me. And you and your friend did. Yeah, we've done the ball kids. So let me know who you are. What are the two things we could have done better? Or are you asking me for two things we could have done better? Bring our shooting boots would have been a good thing to do. Get our shooting boots. And just be more resilient in defence. We seem to be at times we're like a soft paper bag, aren't we? I mean, Peacock Farrell, he pulled a great save off, he actually pulled two great saves off, but both of his saves went straight back, so the reaction saves, I get that. He kind of just blocked it, goes straight back to a Reading player, and then he pulls off like a worldie. I don't even know how he stopped it. He was in all day long. It was a great save, but it again just bounced straight back to another Reading player for a third bite of the cherry. And somehow in those situations you've got to save it and tip it over the bar or tip it round the post or something, but pushing it back in is always a disaster. How many signings do you think Blackpool will sign in the January transfer window? Well, how long's a piece? How do we know? Can we get anybody? Is Simon Sadler going to invest more money? He already spent quite a lot in summer. We have, the sixth highest wage bill in the league or something? He must be pulling his hair out. Simon Sadler. And sadly, I don't think he has good... I don't think the people that he has in charge are, doing him any favours. I just don't think they're good. They're clearly not good, are they? I mean, Julian Winter, you all know I can't stick him. Said all about that. It's all about, getting the product right on the pitch. Well, he's not getting the product right on the pitch. Whatever he's doing isn't getting the product right on the pitch, is it? Clearly. I like Ian Evatt. Jane did point out that maybe Ian Evatt's stumbling over the same thing that Critchley kind of stumbled over, and that was that the players that he's trying to train to play a certain way of football aren't really good enough to play that kind of football. They're good enough to play League One football, but maybe they're not good enough for the style of football he's trying to play, and maybe they just can't actually do it. And I think that's maybe one of the things that happened with Critchley, where he just didn't have good enough players to play the way that the brand of football he wanted to play. Could be that. Oh, you're Ethan, and I was asking you, and thanks for answering, and what do you think of our new manager? Yeah, I always liked Ian Evatt, and he's done great, and I like everything he's saying, and I think he has a plan. I just don't want him to get caught, as I say, like Critchley got caught, where really the players weren't good enough to do the system, that this playing out from the back and I don't know, side to side and all those sorts. I don't know. He's trying to get them organised. He's trying to make them, do what he wants them to do. But they're clearly not doing what he wants them to do. He was getting very frustrated on Saturday, as we all were. Yes, indeed. If only sacking players was as easy as kicking a manager out of a club. Well, that's the problem, isn't it? You know, we keep kicking managers, don't we? We keep bringing managers in. They keep failing. We keep getting somebody else. It doesn't matter whether they're experienced, inexperienced. We're either making just bad decisions all the time, or there's something behind the scenes that isn't right. And there's lots of things I've spoken to you about before that I'm, you know, as a football vlogger, I'm not happy with things that I could do to help, the way they treated us in the past. And I just think that there is this, them against the fans, you know, they have these fans forums, don't they, that you know, that the same sort of people go to every time. It doesn't really go anywhere and doesn't really engage anybody really, does it? You know, it doesn't. It just doesn't. I don't know. There's ways to get the message out, and they could certainly get the message out here, couldn't they? If I could get a message out to you, I would. Thousands, you know, would get the message straight away, wouldn't they? It doesn't make any sense. Ian R says, I'm sure Ian Evatt will be as pleased as Punch with that performance. Why would he be? I'm sure a piece of his mind has well and truly been given out to the guilty parties. Oh, that's cryptic, Ian. I don't know what you mean. I don't know why Ian Evatt would be pleased as Punch with that performance. From everything he says, he seems to, you know, he has fond memories. I mean, Jane went to a thing on Saturday night. There was, in fact, I wish I could have gone, but I was working. But it was Gary Taylor Fletcher. It was who else was it? Alex Baptiste, and of course the assistant manager, all basically talking about how fond they were of their, you know, their time at Blackpool, what a magical time it was, in spite of all the absolute horrific things that seemed to be going on around them with the Oystons. But yeah, they were great, and I think Ian Evatt is part of that. You know, they talked about a Facebook group that they're all still in because it, you know, their memories of Blackpool are so fond, and they weren't fond of the Oystons, but they were fond of Blackpool, Holloway, the team spirit they had, and in spite of all the adversities that really the Oystons gave them, they still, you know, loved their time at Blackpool. They loved the club, and when Ian Evatt talks, he just loves, you know, he loves Blackpool, and he looked crestfallen in his interview. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to show miserable things. I'm trying not to be miserable. I'm trying to see if we can see a positive to all this, if we can. Duncan Wood says the first 20 minutes was good, just the finishing let us down, but after that we didn't look like scoring. No, we didn't. Ian Evatt has been left with Bruce's flops, and there are a few that are not good enough. But why are they not good enough? How can they not be? How can they be playing as professional footballers in the Football League to get into the Football League? Even to be a player probably in the conference is hard. You know, you've got to be so good as a kid. You know, some of these players have played, you know, experienced, and they have to be good players. Maybe, you know, we signed a bit too much, you know, old in the defence. Maybe, you know, there's no pace. We maybe just didn't buy the kind of players that we need. But, you know, you can't say that, like, Fletcher isn't a great player sometimes when sometimes he's phenomenal. Andy Lyons gave his all, didn't he? Coulson, I just don't think he's a left back sometimes. I think he's a left winger. He's very lightweight, but he's another one that's just beaten up every time he plays. I don't know. Josh Bowler, you know, we all know he's a great player, don't we? But something wrong. There's something, and I believe it's behind the scenes myself. I do believe it's the way the club are being run. I mean, really, the buck stops at Simon Sadler, doesn't it? And it does. He's employing these people that are running the club. I just feel, I was talking about this to somebody, like when we were, on the right, from 2000 to 2010 was an incredible time to be a Blackpool Football Club fan. And we had the Oystons, and we hated the Oystons, but there was something family about it, even though, we hated Owen Oyston and we hated, Carl Oyston in the end. But, you think back to Carl Oyston came in and what he achieved, and I sometimes think it was in spite of him rather than because of him, but whatever he did and whatever it was, and no matter whether we were in the old stadium, still in sitting in block Q of the South Stand, and the noise we created, and the fact that it was just, awful really, but you kind of loved it, didn't you? You had an affection with it, even though it was grotty, but you were dreaming of a new stadium all the time. I always was thinking what a new stadium would be like. But there was this sort of like us against the world feeling of being a Blackpool fan, not just a Blackpool player, but a Blackpool fan. You felt like we were just, the poor relations to everybody. We had a ground that was half condemned, and we just made a lot of noise, and we just roared them on, and we had an amazing spirit within the fans. I know we didn't have social media like we have now, so you couldn't get wound up by loads of different things that you read and everybody start repeating the same narrative. Like, you read something on social media and that's your opinion on it. You didn't have that. You just went, you had a couple of people around you and that was it. And you had your opinion on the game. You came out, you talked to your dad, talked to your mates. That was it. You didn't have all this social media fanfare around it all. Which maybe, isn't healthy, but there was something magical about like feeling like you were part of a family of fans, and somehow that feeling is not there in the way that it was. They've gone very corporate, trying to be like corporate Blackpool. They misread, Julian Winter with his, I hate to keep going banging on about it, but him talking about, he has to pay, the club have to pay the fuel bills, and, we need to basically fleece the kids and the parents so we can get as much money in as we can to pay the Lecky bill and pay the minimum wage and all that. And I'm thinking, God, you're a director of a football club, like the biggest building really in Blackpool. I think you can do the most with the opportunities in Blackpool are incredible on things you could put on and do if you wanted to do. There had to be somebody with more vision. And this is, this isn't just Blackpool Football Club as well. It's actually Blackpool itself as well, where you think of, Jane was saying the other night that, we don't really have any history in Blackpool, do we? We don't have history like other towns, but our history is of being a place which was designed for people to have a good time. That's it. That's all it is. It's a town to come and have a good holiday. And ever since the Victorians started it, Blackpool, back in those days, people have come to Blackpool and had a good time. And the Victorians were incredibly visionary with the Pleasure Beach and the piers and the theatres and the Stanley Park and, all the things that they built, the Blackpool Tower, all of that, the ballrooms, Golden Mile, it all, the open air swimming baths, now the Sandcastle, but all the most of the attractions that are in Blackpool, the Victorians did, and people are still going. People are still going to the Grand Theatre. It's beautiful. It could again do with a bit of TLC on the seats. The seats are a bit lacking in padding. I have mentioned that in my comment to the Grand Theatre. They're not very padded seats. The Opera House is now staging Britain's Got Talent, and there's all these wonderful things. But the vision that the Victorians had with Blackpool got lost somewhere along the way, and it became politicians running it. Politicians, local councillors, local people with their noses in the bag of everything and on backhanders and all the rest of it. And there's been things done and spent money on and wasted on. And I saw a thing in the Gazette the other day where there's been a poll, and Blackpool people have said in a massive poll that the one thing that we need in Blackpool, and we've needed it since we didn't get the casino bid, is we need a concert arena. We need a concert arena, and it's probably like the Winter Gardens, the Opera House people are probably against it all the time. They don't want it. I remember when we were doing the casino, Coral Island didn't want it. They were opposed against it because nobody wants things to progress. There's always somebody looking after their own thing. But if we had a concert arena and people were coming in to see, some great star, some great pop group, some whatever, then, kids were going to that, then they might get taken to a show at the Winter Gardens, or they might go and do the Pleasure Beach, or it's just people coming in, and I've said it before, when Blackpool did the concerts in the summer and they had Rod Stewart, I was working a taxi then, and honestly, it was so busy. It was just incredibly busy. There was probably 25,000 people coming in to see Rod Stewart. It's loads. It's absolutely loads of people, and anybody that was coming to see Rod Stewart, he was the reason they were coming, and Blackpool were just like another, just a little bit of the icing on the cake. The cake was Rod Stewart, and that's, we miss out on all that sort of stuff, and so it's like the people that run the town don't get Blackpool. The people that are running the football club, who are not from Blackpool, who don't understand Blackpool, who don't understand what Blackpool's all about, don't understand the situation, the financial situation in Blackpool, they don't get us. The Oceans probably did more get it, because they were from Blackpool. First 20 minutes was good, says Duncan Wood. Just the finishing let us down. But after that, we didn't look like scoring. Everton's been left with, of course I read that. How's Jane okay today? Yeah, she's fine. She doesn't suffer the football like me. Although she's, she just mentally is tough. She's doing a master's degree. She's really busy. She's busy with work. She's and she's coping with a lot. And to cope, and this is the thing, isn't it? It's to cope mentally with it. Season after season, disappointment after disappointment. It's been disappointing, really, since we got, since lockdown. We didn't even really get to see that, did we? But, we got into the Championship, and since then, we did okay that first season in the Championship. We held our own, and then it's just been downhill. It's been downhill. Critch left, and it's not been good now since Critch left. And you can't see, can you? You can't see a way of turning it around. I still do believe that Ian Evatt can do this. I think he can deliver it. Yes, Eugene, we are. We're playing Carlisle, and they're on. Honestly, I've had a fan posting. Can't believe that Blackpool didn't give Carlisle 10,000 tickets. You could have had 20,000 there. He's posted in my comments. I'm thinking, nothing, pal. You know what I mean? We haven't got 20,000 seats, so we haven't got 10,000 to give you. It's as simple as that. They're getting the most tickets that anybody's had this season. We could have probably given 5,000, couldn't we, if we wanted to? But there's a massive policing cost of 5,000 away fans coming to a game. So do we want to go down that road? I don't know, but I don't know. Yeah, exactly, Duncan. Duncan Wood says, why is it we beat Cardiff and everyone plays brilliant, and then the next three games we look relegation material? It is so frustrating. Yeah. I mean, you can't believe, can you, that? But then again, since that Cardiff game, we lost Josh Bowler, didn't we? And he played brilliant against Cardiff. He was really looking good in that. He never got him playing in that number 10 sort of role, and he was brilliant. He was setting loads of things up. He was making it. He was instrumental in making that game so fantastic. The attacking, the vision, his passes, the pass he put through to Fletcher, the whole thing was just absolutely wonderful. But then he got injured, and he's not played since. He's not played any games since, and we've not looked a patch. We've not looked to patch. So, Josh Bowler is a massive player. If he's injured, Ennis is great. Now, we all know Ennis is great, but what's the injury? I said to Bessie, I don't even know what the injury is. When did he do it? What is it? And how long's he out for? You don't hear anything. Does anybody know? Post in the comments if you do know. Semi-Sean likes to smash the like button if you're enjoying this moan and fest. This unbelievable. I've done, honestly, I wasn't even going to do this stream, but I just felt like I had to get a lot of things off my chest that were in my head. I've just got to talk to somebody about it because I just can't believe what I saw on Saturday. I can't, honestly. If you watch my video right to the end, I'm sat with Bestie, and I really had no words for it. I really couldn't say anything good about it. I was really, the lucky tic-tac didn't work, as you probably saw. Somebody actually posted in the comments that I made him laugh at the end, probably, writing to Santa. I sent a letter to Santa saying, please, I've been a good boy this year. Please, just let Ian Evatt turn it around for Blackpool. That's my only wish. It will be my only wish. I just hope he does. I like Ian Evatt, and I really want him to succeed. I really want these players to come back. Desperate for him to get back. Albie Morgan's good, isn't he? He's a good player. What's he injured with? What's he done? Why is that going on forever? The injuries, and then you're watching that game, aren't you? And first half, we're injured, aren't we? They're coming on. We've got a bandage boy, haven't we? Straight away, they're bandaging up somebody's head, and so that's the first one. And then obviously by half time, the thing that happened to Andy Lyons, just clattering into him. They came running on. And when the physios get down and they're kind of like right down on the, really down on the faces, talking to him on the floor, you're thinking, God, this looks really serious. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was Horsfall, wasn't it? That had the bandage. So Horsfall had the bandage. He came back out without it in the second half. But, we've had trainers on for that. We've then had trainers and doctors on for Lions, and it looked really serious. And I don't think Reading had a single trainer on the pitch. I don't. Did they have any injuries? I can't remember if they did. If they did, I don't really remember it. If I'm being honest, there might have been one time when the trainers came on, but it was quickly sorted out. But Blackpool are somehow getting players really injured, like every single game, and you can't believe that another game. I know actually nobody went off. They took Lyons off in the end. I don't know whether that could have been because he was starting to feel concussed or whatever. It was starting to hit him. We don't know why that happened, but it's unbelievable, isn't it? It's literally unbelievable. Connor says, still absolutely baffled at our only spark of creativity at the moment, which is Scott Banks. Couldn't even get more than 10 minutes. Well, maybe he will get more than 10 minutes. Maybe they'll play him at Harrogate on Tuesday. Maybe there's a couple of the youngsters that people keep talking about. There's a is it Butterworth or Butterfield? Butterworth that's playing really well. We've got a young striker that's banging him in, haven't we? The young uns. Maybe it's time. I remember, I don't know if you remember, it was a couple of seasons ago, we went to Port Vale near Christmas time, and they beat us, and they had quite a few kids in. I remember because they were really down on numbers, and they put a few kids in, a young left back, and they battered us. The kids battered us. So it can happen. Sometimes you just maybe when the chips are down, you play some of these kids in, you bring them in. Because clearly the first teamers are not giving it, are they? They're not doing what's needed. They're not putting in the shift. They're not battling enough. They're not fighting enough. They're not, they're not strong enough mentally to cope with any sort of adversity. The goal more or less killed us off, didn't it? We never really recovered from it, did we? We went through a terrible patch after. We were getting in a little bit of a mess before they scored because that Peacock Farrell did that long run and he ended up like the halfway line and suddenly realised he was at the halfway line and went dashing back, you know what I mean? So we were crumbling and they weren't getting back into the game because they'd ridden our like first 20, 25 minutes or whatever pressure. They got through it and that was their time to come at us. But the minute they came at us, we collapsed. We let a goal in. We could have let another one in dead easy just before half time. We had a chance, but then, to get back in, but then they had. We could have gone 2-0 down and, we give away a stupid penalty, just the worst thing that could have ever happened. Great penalty. There's no way Peacock Farrell could have got that. It went the right way. It was just hit so well into the bottom corner. It was a brilliant penalty. And then, that's game over really, isn't it? We're never coming back from 2-0 down. So that's it really. I'm struggling to read the comments because I can't get your comments up on screen. I don't know what I've done. I've done something to it. I don't know why, but I should be able to read your comments and pop them up on screen, but it's not a thing. It's not happening. So I get frustrated with this OBS. One day I'll get it all right. I thought I had it all right, but I haven't. It's somewhere in the docs thing where I should really be able to get it. But I've got a mouse that's not working properly. Nothing's working. We're falling apart. I think I'm done, if I'm being honest. I think I'm just done with Blackpool this weekend. I'm done with it all. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of it all. It's like pulling teeth out. It's just not there. It just won't come back on the screen. There. Docs. Live chatting extension. Something. Have I sorted it? Finally, right. I can relax now. Oh my gosh, right. I have managed to get it on. I can now see your chat. So there we are. The only positive from Saturday was your video. Why it's not been like that all the time, I don't know. So anyway, I've got my chat thing back. So I've done something. I don't know what I've done, but anyway, I have managed to get it in. There we are. We're on. So, right, great. Semi-Channel Live. There we go. That's better, isn't it? Semi-Channel Live. Blackpool will stay up. Keep the faith. You know my feelings on that, don't you? So many times over the past few seasons, the people were saying this to me in the Championship. They were saying it to me. They were posting on videos. Blackpool stay up. They're too good a team to go down, and they'll turn it around. But we've got to honestly, we have to turn it round quickly. So we have to turn this round because I'm telling you, I've seen this. It's like experience tells me that we are in a mess. We're in a real mess, and we need some help. Connor says, there we go. Scott Banks, badly. This is better, isn't it? God, wow. Finally got it back up. Scott Banks badly needs to get more minutes. Our only ounce of creativity. Well, he is without Bowler, isn't he? I mean, he does seem creative, although then I was reading, somebody posted the same thing on A View from the Tower and got shot down straight away, that he's not good enough, blah, blah, blah. You know how they are on there. Yeah, I know you said that just to wind me up. Blackpool stay up. Don't worry, of course, don't worry. They're too good to go down. Oh God, yes, I have seen this movie before. Indeed, I have. In fact, they're showing Die Hard 2 at the Arc Cinema now. It's not the Backlog, it's the Arc, because it's it is deemed a Christmas film, isn't it? Die Hard, and It's a great film, isn't it? And I went to see Back to the Future, funnily enough, back at the cinema because they had that on, and I took my, we went with the two boys. We had a lads, thing going to, they'd seen it on video, but they'd never seen it in the cinema before, and it's just, films are just so good in the cinema, and they're doing all these reruns of films, but. I do fancy going to see, although I've seen it loads of times, I do fancy going and seeing it. I think I am going to go and see it. Oh, blimey. Ian Barron's here. Flipping heck from Don. Oi, oi, everyone watching the mighty Darlow. Won 4-3 last night. It'll be 10 men. We're up to 4th. Oh, it's just all too positive, Ian. We're up. Good God. Good old Darlow. And now Steve Watson's Black and White Army. Come on, Darlow, indeed. Come on, Darlow. We need a bit of Darlow. Yeah, honestly, Back to the Future, flipping heck. It is such a good film, and Sebi, I think he probably watched it before with me, but he'd probably be about, I know when we watched it, he might have been about 10, something like that sort of age when we watched it. Because I have a big cinema screen here and projector and everything and surround sound. I've always been mad on movies, and movies have always been my thing, which is why I like the videos. But he couldn't remember it. He couldn't remember the film at all, and he's 21 now, and he just sat through it. And at the end of it, he just literally said, "That is one of the best films I have seen in years," and it is. It is the most perfect film, and I was sat watching it, and the scene, there's a scene right at the start where Doc and Marty are sort of on the car park, and it goes behind them, and Doc's got his little automated thing to drive the car, and it's just like a behind the scene, like behind them in the car park, just about the car's about to zip back to the future. And I couldn't help thinking to myself, when they filmed that scene, when they were doing that scene there, could they have ever envisaged how massive a film they will create and how they go down in history as one of the, I mean, it really is one of the greatest films. It's perfection in every way. It's just wonderful. And I got Sebi for his 21st. I got him, I upgraded all his in-car stereo unit, so he's got a sub and all this sort of stuff. Still all the stuff I used to love when I was their age, because his stereo wasn't working right, and his mini, I treated it, that was my 21st, and straight away we came out and he was putting Johnny B. Good on. So we're all listening to Johnny B. Good in the Hounshill car park. There's just us on the top floor after the film finished, and it was just a magical night. Connor says, would love to see Butterworth in from the start and tomorrow, even though it's a pretty important game as it's a knockout, and I don't know about you, but I would like a trip to Wembley. I'd always like a trip to Wembley, Connor. I would. I would like to see Butterworth in from the start, because I don't really know much about him. It is Butterworth, yeah. That's the name. But yeah, I'd like to see some of these kids come through, because I think at the moment we could do with them, and the good thing about youngsters is, and if they get the chance, they're going to give it 110%, aren't they? If you're an academy kid and you get a chance to play in the first team, you are going to play as good as you possibly can play. You're going to give it 150% probably. You're going to put, because it's a dream, isn't it? And sometimes I think maybe we need that. We just need that. Ian Barron says, Escape to Victory will be an apt film for Blackpool's situation lately. Yes, it would be. It would be. And it's a classic, isn't it? Escape to Victory is a classic for probably all the wrong reasons, for Sylvester Stallone's goalkeeping performance and all the rest of it. But yeah, no, it's a great film, wasn't it? Yeah, it's great to see Ian Barron here. It's great to have some positivity, isn't it? Even though I've said this before as well. This is another thing. You've got Ian Barron here, and he's up, isn't he? He's all up. We just won 4. What did he win? Let's have a look. Was it? Go back to it. Yeah, 4-3. Hey, happiness. Everything about him is happiness. But he's not in League One, is he? Because that's what it's all about. It literally makes no difference what league you're in as long as you're winning. You know what I mean? You can be in the Premier League, you can be in the Championship, you can be in League One, you can be in League Two, you can be in the Conference North, you can be at Step 2, wherever it is, whatever football you're watching, you want your football to be winning football. And everything in the world, you know, we're in League One now, but if we were top of the league, we'd be buzzing, wouldn't we? We'd all be buzzing. This stream will be different. If we'd have won like 5-0 on Saturday, life would be like full of joy and happiness. And the fact that we're in League One wouldn't matter. It just wouldn't matter. The fact that we're up there, we're winning, we're having a great time, the football's fantastic. And I've said this so many times, it's the thing we have to get right. Ian Evatt has got to get this right. He's got to figure it out. He has to figure out what it is, or Simon Sadler has to look deeply into who's running the club, whether there's too many, you know, people on money that are sucking it out. It's like, you know, they've employed this media team, 11 Media they're called. And they have, like, Blackpool Football Club are not their only club. They do the media for, you know, loads of, you know, Premier League clubs. I don't know how many clubs they have. They certainly have Sunderland. They do all the sort of the screens and everything, and you know we put together these videos. Probably, I don't know if they do Tangerine TV, which is good. I'm not saying it's not, but I know for a fact that if I was going down to the training ground to interview players for the club, I would make it fun because I love them, because the Blackpool Football Club, do you know what I mean? I love them. And I know everything about the history of Blackpool, and I'd be positive. And, you know, if, you know, that photograph, what was it, of the Ikwankwo, whatever he's called, signing, he looked like a bulldog sucking a bead, and he didn't look happy, he didn't look smiley. You know, I would have said, if I was taking the photograph, I'd have just said, "Oh, sorry, tell you what, can we just do that again? Because I've clicked it, but it's not taken that photograph. I'll tell you what, let's just do it again. The light is not quite right there, and can it just give me a big smile? And, you know, let's do cheese, or, you know, sex or something, or make him laugh. You know what I mean? But I feel like the people that are in charge of all that, they're not Blackpool fans. I know they're not. Some of them are, you know. The best thing that they do is It's Ramos's videos from the side. But I wish they'd let It's Ramos still do his YouTube channel. I wish he could put all these things on his YouTube channel and have grown his YouTube channel to about 50,000 subscribers, because I wouldn't be sat here with 8,000 if they did. Do you know what I mean? Instead of just like let him carry on and let him, you know, and kind of put it together with all these YouTube skills and have all these YouTube channel growing like phenomenally, because he was doing all this fantastic work, and I don't see why they don't see that possibility. I would. Do you know what I mean? He was brilliant. His YouTube channel was fantastic. There was lots of young kids followed him. You know, lots of young kids. You know, there's nothing posted on there anymore because they've kind of stopped him doing his YouTube thing, and they've got him involved with the club, and that's great. But man, you know what I mean? If they actually linked in with his YouTube channel, it would be gold dust, you know, absolute gold dust. God, and it would be brilliant for me, it'd be brilliant for you, it'd be brilliant for everybody, wouldn't it? You know, if I had 50,000 subscribers, It's Ramos had 2 million, it'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? But they don't see it, I don't know why. Ian Barron says, my long COVID, chronic fatigue, pain, headaches, heat and breathing problems some days. I can hardly get out of bed, unfortunately. I spend most of the day asleep due to the Medicaid. Oh dear, Ian, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, that's sad. That's sad. We got shafted a bit with COVID. I don't want to go into that sort of thing, because it's, you know, I have my thoughts on it. I had to go and have my injections. Fortunately, I didn't have AstraZeneca. We had the other one, which doesn't seem to be having as many side effects on people. Although I still, I still do get colds and stuff, but I'm okay. But no 5 years, I'll be dead. There'll be something that was in it that kills you. Embarrasses, too many chefs and not enough. Too many chiefs and not enough Indians, and the chiefs cost money that could be used on the playing squad. Indeed, and I just don't think that the chiefs in charge are Blackpool people. They do, I've complained about the stewards. I actually noticed that maybe they listen. The stewards are all seeming to be friendlier. Certainly in the South Stand. I mean, they're always great in the South Stand. It's always like, I don't know, I see the same stewards all the time and have a bit of a laugh with them. And you know me, I like to have a bit of laugh and a joke with people, In fact, have you watched the video yet? The funniest scene for me that I've ever filmed. And I had to leave it in because it was just so funny. If you haven't watched it yet, just do. For this scene, you don't really have to suffer the football if you watch it either. There is no football in it apart from me and Bestie having a laugh. But this dad comes up to me with his little guy. He says, "Can you get her on? It's the first time she's ever been to a match. This is it. First time ever. I'm taking to it." He was so proud. I said, "Yeah, what's she called?" And I can't think what name he said, but he said a name. I said, "All right, okay. It's that name." And he went, "Oh, no, that's not her name. That's her elder sister. She..." He'd forgotten her name. Now, whether that just happens because, the pressure of just coming onto camera makes you forget it. He forgot a name. And honestly, I cracked up. I couldn't even, I said, "Should we do that again?" And even then it's the funniest scene I've ever filmed. It was just magical. It makes the video for me. It's just brilliant. So make sure if you haven't, even you should just skip through to the fans. I've got this new microphone cover as well. It's what's he called? John. I can't remember your name, John. It's just gone like that fan. It's gone out of my head. But he recommended like a microphone cover with branding on it, so people can see me because I was struggling to get interviews, and it did work. See you later, Gary. Thanks for coming on, as always, listening to my rubbish that I talk about. There's in my heart. Lovely weekend, says Gary. Yeah, okay. You two have a great weekend. Yeah, there's something in my heart believes that Ian Evatt can turn this around. I believe it more than I didn't believe in Michael Appleton. I didn't think Michael Appleton was a great signing. I couldn't actually believe we signed. We brought Michael Appleton in after all that had gone before with him. I've said before, if I'd have won like the Euro Millions, say for instance, and I'd bought Blackpool Football Club, and I'd have had a message through saying, Michael Appleton would like to come for an interview, I'd have been like, nah, not. Sorry, Michael, you came, you left. It's just disappeared. You went to Blackburn Rovers. There is no way on heaven you're coming back, because the fans will hate you from the start. And I don't need a manager that's going to start off with such a horrendous start to his career with everything against him. I would have never employed Michael Appleton, and I still don't understand why Simon Sadler did. And in many ways, I don't understand why he brought Critch back either, because as a fan, he must, I've told you before, Jane and I were on holiday and we just sat down. I just ordered myself a sort of an iced drink. I can't think. It was a sunny day. So this big iced drink with like a milkshake sort of thing. It could have been a big iced coffee, I think, maybe. I just started sipping that, and then Jane went, "Oh God," she just on her phone. Newsflash from Blackpool. See, this doesn't sound good. And she went, "Oh God, Critch has left. He's gone with Steve Gerrard." I couldn't believe it. Honestly, I could not believe it, because I had this vision of Critch at that time that he was going to do like amazing things. I actually did believe he would go on to be England manager. That's how much I kind of liked him. I thought he was meticulous. He's always working on making himself better. He's going to make Blackpool better, you know, and we're just going to keep improving until we get into Europe. And these are all in my head, you know, the dreams I'm having. And he left, and I was devastated. I was so devastated that I would have never took him back. You know, like I say, if I'd have won the Euro Millions and I'd have bought it off Simon Sadler and Critchard had come out, you know, can I have my old job back, boss? I'd have been like, no, I'm sorry. You broke everybody's hearts. How can we start again after that? How can you walk out on us like you did and basically relegate us because you walked out and everything's gone to absolute, you know, dog shit for the last year? We're now back in League One. You want to come back? Why? I don't know why he took him back on, and it didn't work. And you wouldn't need to be Gypsy Rosalie on the front to see that bringing Critch back wasn't going to be as good as it was the first time, because you know the fans were never going to be behind him like they were, because they were, weren't they? I mean, that video that I filmed at the end of the West Brom game, you know, when we lost so cruelly with Critch, and he came on and they were all singing his name, and he was just there, and he was just applauding everybody. It was magical. It was a magical time. You can't repeat that. You can't get the fans all doing that, even though they did try to. You know, not most people. You know, half of them would say, "You think I'm doing yeah to Critch again?" No, you had to bring somebody new in, and you certainly didn't need to bring another manager in that was like, do you know what I mean? It's just another disaster, wasn't he? Disasters. I understood Mick McCarthy, if I'm being honest, because after going for young managers and inexperienced managers, he probably just thought, you know, Mick McCarthy has been in the Championship for years. He knows it upside down, inside out, back to front. And actually, I think with Mick McCarthy, you know, one of the main problems with him was that he didn't have a Mick McCarthy team. He came to Blackpool. He tried to sign a big, massive centre-half who got injured, but we were just too small to be a Mick McCarthy team. He's like Land of the Giants. His team's a Land of the Giants, which I actually like, Land of the Giants teams. I do. And we didn't have it. And I think that's what, you know, ultimately Mick McCarthy couldn't play football with the players that he had. He needed that sort of big bullying side. Good night, Ian, and I'm sorry you're not feeling so good, but I am happy for good old Darlow FC. Semi Charmline says, yeah, spot on. How can? And why as an owner would you think the fans would? You know, you can't start off with a manager that like everybody hates or a lot of fans hate. You know, there was a big issue with Michael Appleton. I remember the Armfield Club wanted them to prove that he didn't have a PNE tattoo on his calf and all this sort of stuff. It was all bad, you know. He started off on a bad foot, and, you know, ultimately it was a really, really bad decision. Really bad decision. So yeah, Duncan Wood. I can get your comments up on screen. Beautiful. We need to start winning because there is a gap starting and it's hard to catch up. I want Everett to be successful. Yeah, I think everybody, Ian Everett was such a big part of a wonderful period in our history, a magical time. Jane's been relating some of the stories that... Well, it was Steve Thompson, it was Alex Baptiste, and it was Gary Taylor Fletcher, all at the Tilsley Club, doing a Q&A, fans meet, one of those like men's night. She's been raving on and on about it. She's been telling me all the things that like Holloway did. Some of the stories. What was one of the stories? There was one where they won this match, and they were asking Ian Everett they were asking Holloway on the TV. Blackpool played so well this week. The training must have been like phenomenal. And Holloway said, "Oh yeah, we've been back. It's been really busy this week. We put a lot of time into training this week." Like all the players, there was some problem down at the training ground. He'd taken them out for like full English one. They went training, but they didn't even have any training. They went for full English. Then he took them for a day at the sandcastle, and they had all this sort of like extracurricular stuff. They'd hardly done any training at all. But Holloway was there on TV saying, "Oh yeah, put lots of training in." And I didn't know, but the players apparently were gonna go on strike before the first game of the season because they hadn't been paid the bonuses that they've been promised. There was, they were getting this £5 million, wasn't it, to get £5 million bonus between them all to get promoted, and some of them had like come and they bought houses and all this stuff because this money was coming in and they hadn't got it. And they went to Oyston and there was some problem because Oyston hadn't had the money from the Premier League to pay. But honestly, they managed to sort something out. But the stories from the Oystons just honestly unbelievable. I'm sure Simon Sadler, is nothing like the Oystons were, but in spite of all that, I've always said, and I say it all the time, if the Oystons, when they got promoted into the Premier League, and they had a guaranteed £96 million coming in, like 48 million for the Premier League season, and then it was like 3 parachute payments, wasn't it? Just make it a total of £96 million was guaranteed income. So they had a guaranteed £96 million coming in, a Premier League squad with players that could possibly be sold. The ground had been updated in the summer to be good enough to be in the Premier League, even though it was, we still got it. The East Stand is a temporary, but it's not. It's pile driven in. It's not temporary. It's never going anywhere. It's pile driven in. They're never going to take it out. They'll just build, use that around. So probably at that time, I would say the club was worth, to anybody buying it, well, it was worth a guaranteed £96 million. So basically, if you're a multimillionaire and you had 96 million quid, you could give the Oystons £96 million, and you knew you took over the club, you'd have £96 million coming in, guaranteed. Then you'd have obviously all the value of the new stadium at that time and the other things that the Oystons had, and I reckon they probably could have easily got 120 million quid for it, because it was just guaranteed money. And I'm sure if they'd have just said to Valerie Bellicon, we've done our bit, we've managed to get Blackpool into the Premier League, we'd like to just sell this, would you like to buy it, because there's 96 million coming in, we'll maybe give you back your money for this stand that you built and all your Charlie Adam, and we'll knock that off. And what do you reckon, Valerie? 110 million? Would you buy it? I bet you would. I bet he might have gone for it. And they could have sailed off into the sunset, couldn't they? They could have ridden on horses away, and nobody, everybody would have probably wished them well and thought, well, you know what I mean? You were utter Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, but, you did it. You managed to get Blackpool in the Premier League. We're here. You've done amazing. You've got the whole thing ready for the Premier League. And if you want to go and sell it now and give it to Valerie Bellicon, then we all wish you well. And none of whatever happened after would have ever happened. And I just think it's a shame that they didn't just do that. I don't know. Yeah, Duncan. Yeah, we did need to start winning. I've said that all along. I've said that we have to start winning. Ian Evatt has to turn this round really quickly. And the worrying thing, and somebody said this to me at the game actually, and I think they've said it in the comments as well, that notoriously, and we all know this, don't we? As Blackpool fans, we know this because we have suffered this pain so many times over the years. Blackpool are always terrible at Christmas. Doesn't matter what manager we have, doesn't matter what players we have, doesn't matter what team, what formation, what owner, what stadium we're in. We are usually, I would say, 9 Christmases out of 10. That maybe 1 out of 20 in my entire Blackpool watching football time of my life. I don't know how many times Blackpool have ever been good at Christmas. I don't know what it is. I can never put my finger on it. It makes no sense to me that we always come up. We can't possibly always come up against a team that's just like suddenly are brilliant at Christmas. Every team we play are brilliant at Christmas. You know, Burton Albion, brilliant at Christmas. We get beaten all the time. Boxing Day, we normally lose, don't we? We know, we sometimes lose the New Year game. I've been to New Year games. We've played terrible. And I can't be relying in my mind. I can't be thinking, God, Blackpool, you're gonna get us out of this bottom 4 over Christmas because we're gonna go play. We're gonna play really well. Because I can't believe it in my mind. I can't come to terms with it. I can't accept it's going to happen. I only know that Blackpool are going to lose over Christmas. So we need some wins, and we're running out of games before Christmas. We've got to win it, and really we have to win them all. For me, we have to win them all. From now, every game, really. I don't think we can afford any more draws until we get ourselves up this table. I've got to win. Somehow we've got to find a way to win. Draws are not good enough. And we just got to hope and pray that some of these players come back. Or we can find a system that these players can play in that makes us win. And I think that's, if I was to say to Ian Evatt at the moment, my advice to you, Ian Evatt, would be to find a way to make this team win. Find some way. It might not be the way you want to play, but find a way like this week that makes this team stronger. The way we're set up, we're stronger. And the way we attack, we're stronger. The belief is stronger, and a system that the players can play. You've got to find it, Ian. That's, you might want to play like Ian Holloway did. You might want to play like Critchley plays. You might want to play, those ways, but it's not worked for a long time at Blackpool, and you need to find, 4-4-2 didn't work for Steve Bruce. I don't know what the answer is, 4-3-3. I don't even know if the answer is a formation or just a way to make these players, to look at them and think, how do I put this team together that I can make this team win? And that is the $60 million question that I don't have the answer to. Do you have the answer to? If you guys watching this don't have the answer to it, and somebody's watching this on the rerun and you got to this point, you're thinking, Lee, I know the answer. I know where he should play, and I know who should be the left back, and I know, Coulson is not, maybe he needs moving up. Jimmy Husband back in, maybe as left back or whatever. But how can Ian Evatt make this team play well together as a team? What do they need? Do we know? I think I'm talking to myself now, actually. There's nobody posting anything. You're all flabbergasted at what I'm saying. Or what is he going on about? What is Lee Charles on? What drugs is he taking? Well, yeah, they've got to solve the problem, haven't they? No. They've got to solve the problem. Anyway, I think that's it, because I think you've all given up. I think you've all said what you need to say. I think I've said what I need to say. I just hope and pray. I'm just hoping and praying that somehow the club figure out, figure out where they're going wrong. Because they are, aren't they? They are somehow going wrong. This is like the least successful we've been in a long time. We're probably, we're in a worse position. We're actually in a worse position than we were when Simon Sadler took over. We're actually lower now than we were when he took over. So he's He's made some improvements, not all the improvements that he promised. He's made some improvements. The ground looks, it just looks better, doesn't it? You can't say it doesn't look better. I like the fact that all the journalists are, behind now, on a row behind all the seats rather than being sort of in the middle. Yeah, thanks, Michelle Life. Yeah, it's good to get some things off your chest and vent. I made some good points. I hope I did. Oh, well, I'm just rambling to myself. I'm glad you think so, because I sometimes think there's a people actually think, what the hell? What the hell's she talking about? But I have all these mad things in my head, mad things. But yeah, the ground's better. The training ground's clearly better. But is it the fact that it really, even though you get it to be the best it possibly can be, it's still conducive to players getting injuries and problems that we're having all the time? Because we do seem to have a ridiculous amount of injuries. Are the people that that do the physios, are the physio team top draw? I mean, you I don't know if they are. I haven't got a clue. I don't know who they are, but I know for a fact that there are some really good physios. I saw an Olympia gym, and I used to get obviously bodybuilders, and they used to get injured a lot. And I used to have a guy called Derek used to come in, and he used to have all the athletes, all the runners from Blackpool. They used to come in, and he used to have them doing all the weights for the running and everything. And he used to use a physio. I can't remember what his name is now. He was on Whitegate Drive near the Tesco's petrol station down there. And he used to send all these, like, if they had a muscle pull or whatever, he used to send them to him. And I think he did quite a bit of work with Blackpool Football Club. But honestly, if you got a pull, or if any of my lads at the gym got a pull, or I got some sort of pull muscle, I'd go and see him, and honestly, he'd fix me. There was a time when I was lifting my speakers somewhere, I did something to my shoulder, and it was like the back of my shoulder here. I thought, God, I'm going to need like bloody surgery here. And I went to see him, and he said, oh, yeah, he said, we're going to have to work on this. And he worked on it. I went to see him, actually, probably about 6 sessions I had. And honestly, the first time, the pain when he was just touching it was just horrendous. But he fixed it. And my dad had a frozen shoulder. He got this frozen shoulder. He couldn't get rid of it. Derek told him to go there, and he went to see him, and he fixed his frozen shoulder. Unbelievable. And there's some physios that are just like incredible. They just are. And I don't know whether our physios are the greatest. I don't know. Maybe they are. If they're not, that's something maybe to look at. There's a reason why players are just taking so long to come back from everything. And I don't know, the whole thing needs to be looked at and and thought about how much money you're spending on people that aren't doing, you think back to like the Oysters, they had Matt Williams, didn't they? Matt Williams ran Blackpool Football Club for the Oysters, really. He's now at Burnley. He's done wonders at Burnley, hasn't he? But he was Blackpool. He was a Blackpool lad. He was brilliant. And he ran it, and you'd have him back to. I would have Matt Williams back tomorrow. He wouldn't come back because he's bloody with Burnley. He's done miracles with him, hasn't he? But I'm not sure that these people that are in charge are the right people. Tactically, Michelle says, could you play the low block to shore up the defence and concede less, and then hope to counter? If I knew, what the low block was. Yeah, you have to explain that to me. The low block. What do you actually mean by that? Because I never having coached. You know me, I just watch the football. I watch Blackpool. We're attacking. We're passing out. We're passing good, or we're passing bad. I can see that we're all back for corners, and I hate it. You know what I mean? I hate it. I know I know nothing about coaching a football team, but I know if you have one player stood on the halfway line, they can't risk leaving one player and getting turned by him because it's a goal to go. So just leaving one up means they have to keep two back. And to me, that just seems a logical advantage when you're defending a corner. But we have this thing where we have everybody back in the box, and I just think, oh my God. So those sort of things I notice, and I notice when we miss chances, and I notice when we fall over, and I notice when a pass goes astray, and I notice all those daft things. But tactically, I have no idea. Physios with magic hands, indeed, yes, there are. There really are. There really are certain physios that drop deep and absorb. Drop deep and absorb, very defensive. I think we've tried that. We have actually tried being... honestly, if you watch you do watch my videos, but if you watch my match files, when Blackpool are defending deep and being really defensive, oh my God, it is like you have to watch it like that, through your fingers like that, because it's terrifying. If we start defending and pulling back and defending deep and we just get in a mess. Blackpool just, it's how we are. We panic, we pass around, they're putting us under pressure, we don't cope well with pressure. We have to be the team that pressures. We have to be, because we can't cope with pressure. Well, absolutely, honestly, it's terrifying at times. You'll have to come to a match review. If you ever come over to it, you have to come and watch Blackpool. You'd be horrified what it's like when you sat in the stands. It's actually worse than it is on TV. It's so bad. At times, it's ridiculous. I know, but trust me. We would, if we started doing that, if we did that, honestly, we will concede, because we can't do it. I swear to God, I've watched them season after season after season. This lot, they cannot fall back and defend. They certainly can't defend elite. They put themselves under so much pressure when they get defensive, and they put like 5 at the back and all that sort of stuff. It just doesn't work. I don't know why. Other teams can do it. Yes, Duncan Wood says we need to hit the target like other teams do. Indeed, yeah. Get shots on target and make the keepers save, and just, I mean, we were, the finishing against Cardiff was superb, wasn't it? At times, we missed a lot against them, but the finishing was top. The 3 goals we scored were all brilliant goals. There was none of that on Saturday, was there? Yeah, I know. My mouse has got to go near it. Yeah. Fair play, yeah. It's, if only we had Everton's defence, or players of that calibre. Then maybe, but there's just something about our defence that, honestly, it's like bloody Dad's Army. Don't panic, Mr. Mannery. Honestly, you're watching it. If Blackpool go defensive and start defending deep, you literally are praying that they're not going to score. And we we head to nowhere all the time. In fact, we do that all the time. That's another thing that drives me absolutely bonkers with Blackpool, that we just head. There might be like a Blackpool player 5 yards away and a Reading player 10 yards away, and quite often we'll just head over the Blackpool player 10 yards. Or if the Blackpool player's 10 yards away and the Reading player's on you, they'll head and kind of mishead it or something and go straight to the... We just hoof it anywhere off the time. You just feel like you're watching a team hoof it away. It's just, I don't know what it is. Maybe it'll change under Everett. I'm hoping so. Anyway, I've done all of your heads in. If you've been watching this, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for bearing with me while I got the chat eventually working, which was quite a simple fix actually when I actually logically looked at it, but it's difficult to look at it when you're trying to do the live stream. But anyway, that's it. That's all I can say. Onwards and upwards. Blackpool are heading for the playoffs this season for sure. You never know. It could be like the Grayson season where we were just terrible and then everything turned around and we ended up doing the perfect 10 and we got promoted. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it's it's not all doom and gloom, and that we do it, and we do that. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I will see you all in the next one, whenever that might be. I'm not going to Harrogate. There's a part of me actually does want to go, but I'm not going. I've got too much to do. in my making videos for Paddle World, which is far more enjoyable. Yeah, you too, Semi Chala. Thanks. I'm glad you managed to make it. I'm glad I announced it early enough for you to see it. Thanks, Duncan. Up the mighty pool indeed. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll catch you.